If you've ever heard a real estate seminar offer and thought, wow, that's a lot included, that reaction is exactly the point. Because in the seminar business, bonuses are almost never just extra value. They are persuasion tools. And once you understand how they work, you start hearing those offers very differently. Now, to be clear, not every bonus is fake. Some bonuses are useful, some are practical, some really do help with implementation. That part can be true, but that's not why bonuses are so powerful in the room. They're powerful because they change what your brain pays attention to. Instead of asking, is the main offer actually worth this price? You start asking, how can I walk away from all of this value? That's a completely different question. And that shift is where a lot of people get sold. Because the bonus stack makes the offer feel bigger, smarter, safer, and harder to reject, even when the core program hasn't changed at all. That's what I want to talk about today. Because a lot of people think they bought a mentorship. What they really bought was a very well-built perception of value. The first reason bonuses are so effective is because they inflate the size of the decision without improving the core decision. Here's what I mean. Let's say the main product is coaching, or education, or access to a community, or a 6-month program, or even an event plus implementation. That's the real offer. That's what the buyer should be evaluating. But then the stack starts. You also get the scripts, the templates, the call recordings, the private group, the lead sheets, the negotiation guide, the deal analyzer, the workbook, the resource list, extra training, the special session, the fast start package, the VIP bonus, the surprise gift. And now the buyer's attention gets pulled away from the core. The question should still be, does the main thing solve the problem actually have? But that question gets buried under volume, because volume feels like value. The room starts hearing more and more and more, and more starts sounding better, even when half of it may never get opened. That's the first trick. Bonuses make the offer feel expanded, but expanded doesn't automatically mean better. The second reason bonuses work so well is because they create a feeling of gain that competes with the pain of price. This is where it gets really effective. Price creates tension. The moment someone hears a big number, part of their brain pulls back. It starts protecting, it starts comparing, it starts hesitating. It starts asking whether this is too much. Bonuses soften that reaction because now the person is no longer staring at one large number attached to one promise. Now they're watching a pile of extras get added on top. And psychologically, that feels like movement in their favor. It feels like they're winning something. It feels like they're getting more than they expected. It feels like the seller is being generous. That feeling matters because once a buyer starts feeling like they're gaining, the sting of paying often weakens. Not because the math changed, because the emotional experience changed. Now, instead of thinking, this costs a lot, they start thinking, this includes a lot. That's a powerful shift. And that's why bonus stacking works in almost every high-ticket environment, not just seminars. The third reason bonuses are so effective is because they distract from whether the main offer is strong enough on its own. And that's a huge one. A great offer should still be compelling without a mountain of extras. If the core thing is actually strong, if the process is clear, if the result is well defined, if the support is real, if the path makes sense, then the main offer should be able to stand. But a lot of similar offers don't feel strong enough standing alone, so the bonuses do the heavy lifting. They create the feeling of substance. They create the feeling of completeness. They create the feeling that everything you could possibly need is inside the package. And that's where people get confused, because completeness and effectiveness are not the same thing. An offer can feel full and still be weak. It can feel loaded and still not solve the real problem. It can sound comprehensive and still leave the buyer without actual judgment, skill, or repeatable execution. That's why bonus stacks are dangerous when people don't know how to hear them. They can make a weak core look strong, not by improving it, by surrounding it. The fourth reason bonuses are so effective is because they trigger loss aversion. And this is where the pitch gets more psychological than most people realize. Once the bonuses are introduced, the buyer is no longer deciding whether to purchase one program. They're deciding whether to lose access to a whole pile of things. That changes the emotional posture of the decision. Now saying no doesn't feel like I'm passing on this offer. It feels like I'm losing the scripts, I'm losing the templates, I'm losing the bonus training, I'm losing the private session, I'm losing the extra support, I'm losing the fast-track tools. That matters because people hate losing more than they enjoy gaining. So, even if the bonuses were never part of the buyer's original reason for showing up, once they're introduced, walking away starts to feel like giving something up. And when the bonuses are framed as temporary, expiring, or available only today, that effect gets even stronger. Now a buyer isn't just evaluating value, they're reacting to possible loss. That's one of the strongest forces in the room. The fifth reason bonuses work so well is because they create the illusion that every objection has already been solved. This is one of the smartest parts of a well-built stack. The seller knows what objections are likely coming. I don't know what to say. I wouldn't know how to evaluate deals. I need more support. I need a step-by-step. I need accountability. I don't want to do this alone. I don't know what happens after the event. So what do? They bonus against the objection. They add scripts for the person who feels uncertain. They add templates for the person who feels overwhelmed. They add coaching calls for the person who fears being unsupported. They add a community for the person who fears isolation. They add implementation tools for the person who fears confusion. Now, again, some of that can be useful, but notice what happens psychologically. The buyer starts feeling like every fear has already been answered, and that makes the offer feel safer than it may actually be. But tools aren't the same as outcomes. Templates are not the same as judgment. Community is not the same as competence. Access is not the same as execution. That's the gap a lot of buyers miss. And the sixth reason bonuses are so effective is because most people confuse "I might use this" with "is this worth paying for?" And that distinction matters a lot. In the room, it's very easy to assign value to things you could imagine using. A workbook, sure. A script hack, sure. Checklist, yeah. A buyer list template, absolutely. An extra call, sure. And one by one, each of those sounds helpful. But helpful isn't the same as valuable enough to justify the price. That's the trap. Because buyers start mentally pricing out bonus items, even if each one meaningfully improves the offer, when in reality, many of them are just peripheral support tools. Useful, maybe. Central, usually not. And if the core offer is weak, peripheral tools don't fix that. They just make it feel more complete in the moment. That's why so many people get home from these events and start slowly realizing something uncomfortable. This stack felt bigger in the room than it does at the kitchen table. That's not because the bonuses disappeared, it's because the emotional environment that made him feel so valuable is gone. Now a person is left with the actual purchase, and the actual purchase usually feels smaller than the presentation did. And that's where regret starts showing up. So how should people hear bonus stacks more clearly? Simple. When the stack starts, mentally separate the offer into two parts. Part 1. What's the actual core thing I'm buying? Part 2. What are the extras being used to help me feel better about buying it? That one move changes a lot, because now you can ask better questions. If every bonus disappeared, would I still want the main offer? Does the core offer stand on its own? Are these bonuses solving real problems or just making the room feel more generous? Would I have shown up running these things before they mention them? Am I buying a strong solution or reacting to a well-built stack? That's how you stay grounded. Because the goal isn't to become cynical about every bonus. The goal is to stop being hypnotized by volume. More isn't always better. More is often just more. And in the seminar business, more is frequently used to stop you from asking whether the main thing is enough. That's the real game. So if you ever hear, and if you act today, we're also including plus this, and that's not all, and one more thing. Slow down. Because the more exciting the stack gets, the more important it becomes to return to the simplest question of all. Is the actual offer worth buying without the decorations? That question will protect you. And if you want to understand how the seminar business manipulates people, watch the video on the screen right here. Why success stories fool you. Because once you understand how belief gets manufactured, the bonus stack starts making even more sense. And if you want a practical tool to help you spot the tactics before you get sold, download the free seminar survival guide in the description. Then if you want to go deeper into how these deals work, how the pitches are built, and how to tell the difference between real depth and a really good theater, check out the vault below.